Okay, then. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of SportsView on nearmedia.tv. Press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. And we have the usual suspects along with us tonight. Good evening, Derwynne.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Joe.
Good evening, Joe.
Hi, Pat. Hi, Derwynne. How are you guys?
We'll be looking at soccer as usual, and we'll be looking at golf, snooker, rugby, tennis, whatever comes up in the program. We might have time to get to, we forgot to mention last week, the passing of the orthopedic surgeon from Bridgend, Wales. Did I say that properly? JPR Williams. But anyway, an icon of rugby in Wales, obviously, no doubt about that. You know, you couldn't mistake him on the field. We'll get to talk about him later on in the program. But for soccer, there were wins in the Premiership for Chelsea and Man City, and quite a few draws, including Man U. You know, and in the African Cup of Nations. Anyone of you watching that? I watched one against Senegal. I enjoyed the Senegal game. Egypt got Mozambique. They denied Mozambique their first win in the tournament. Mr. Salah came to the rescue for Egypt to get a 2-2 draw. In the championship, then it is very tight. Coventry beat Leicester 3-1. Leeds beat Cardiff 3-0. And Ipswich beat Swansea 2-1. Why I mentioned those three teams are setting the pace, if you like, in the championship. But anyway. And also now I noticed this morning on the news that Nottingham Forest and Everton have been charged again for financial irregularities. I mean, that's a very broad brush. I was trying to read, to be honest, lads, I was tired. I was trying to read the big long thing about it, but it's so complicated. But I noted one of them as well, that Man City have been warned, I think, 18 times in the last number of years about the same situation. Yet, it's the same things were involved, the same principles about money, and between losses and profit and the spending to do with clubs. You know, there's some kind of a limit on it. But anyway, obviously, there doesn't seem to be any limit on it if you're a big club and they with loads of money. I mean, Chelsea, so they had more money than all the other Premiership clubs put together for years, and there didn't seem to be any problem. But anyway, I think it's disgusting in my and it's unseemly to treat smaller clubs with this punch in the way they're being treated now. You know, like Everton, I'm thinking of. They've already penalised them. They've already deducted them 10 points, and as you know, Everton are trying to build a new stadium. They're hoping to have it finished this year. And they have new owners, as far as I know, an American owner, some hedge fund. But I don't know, Joe. What do you think of the whole scene?
But to be honest, I think I'm like everybody else. I'm absolutely disgusted with the lack of action on Man City and Chelsea for all this time, and then you get two clubs that are one is just being promoted to the Premier League a couple of years ago. The other one's been on a bit of a downturn at the moment, and they pick on them, and they let the other guys just slide by. And it makes me wonder why they're not doing anything with the other guys. Is it because they've got better attorneys? I can't imagine they can, because you'd spend any amount of money you can on attorneys to keep you from the points deductions and what have you, because that's going to lose you millions down the road.
Yes.
It just this whole game, is supposed to be a game of fair play. We have referees and officials to officiate the games to make sure that the laws of the game are properly applied and what have you. And yet we have people running the game that don't seem to want to apply any rules whatsoever, only the way they want to do it. and it just irritates me. It's stuff like this that makes you fall out of love with a sport.
Yeah.
You've got two sets of rules, really, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got one set of rules that doesn't affect Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG, Man City. They're on another exemption level, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Man City currently, I know you just said 18, but I think they've got over 120 different faults against them, defaults or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yet they haven't been deducted points. Yeah, Everton have. I don't get it.
I don't either. And correct me if I'm wrong, lads. Didn't the government of Spain, were they stopped one time of bailing out Real Madrid? Remember the government were going to give them?
I think the King bailed it out in the end, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
That's where they got the Real Madrid from Royal Madrid, right?
Yeah.
So,
so
yeah. So I mean, it is. It just seems ridiculous to me that they do not, make it an even playing field for everybody.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right that
no.
that we're doing at the moment. And I mean, like I said to you earlier, now it turns out that Everton are being charged with the same offence twice. And they've already been punished for it, and now they're back in again.
What is it? Double jeopardy and something?
Yeah.
I thought you could only kill your wife once, not twice, but according to the soccer crowd, you can kill your wife many times. I mean, it's probably not a fair analogy, and we have nothing against wives or women.
No.
By saying that, but the metaphor, I'm saying that.
You want a shovel to get out of that hole, Pat?
Yeah, right.
I might edit that bit out. If you don't hear from me next week, you know what's after happening. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. After 21 games out the top, Liverpool have 45 points. Man City have 43. They're after 20 games. Aston Villa has 43 after 21. And then Arsenal have 40 after 20. Spurs have 40 after 21. West Ham have 34 after 20. And Man United have 32 points after 21 games. So they had a draw. Derwynne, did you see the match?
Yeah, I have to be honest. You're nearly starting to watch. I normally, after the match, I turn it off and move on. Yes, now recently I have to keep it on because they've always got Roy Keane. Roy Keane yesterday.
Go on.
Was on the pundits level with Jamie Redknapp.
Oh, God.
And Jamie Redknapp was kind of half sticking up for Man United, really.
Yeah.
And he was saying about, Man United are such a big club. And Roy Keane turned around and just said, shut up. And you could see that he was like biting his lip. And whenever Keane's on, they always use a wide angle.
Yeah.
So you can get his facial expressions and everything else that's going on.
Yeah, and they love him.
He literally yesterday turned around and said, he came out with some really interesting comments. So he said, I've had loads of players in the past when I was playing for United who would phone me and say, United have come in for me. What do you think I should do? He said, and I'll be totally honest with you. I told every one of them, you must come and play at Man United. It's the biggest club. You have to come and play. Whether you'll be a success is another story.
Yes.
Because many have come with a big reputation and fallen out the back door with reputation in tatters, really.
Yeah. Look, your man recently gone to Borussia Dortmund, gone back home.
Yeah.
Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, Sancho.
Yeah. So he was really interested on it because Redknapp was like raving about how well United had done. And Keane was turned around. He said, "Oh, gee, I can't keep listening to this." And by this stage, Gary Neville had joined.
Yeah, oh God, Jesus!
And he was standing there, and Roy Keane just turned around and said, We're talking about Man United drawing at Old Trafford with Spurs with half their team missing. He said, you're making this sound like this is like Man United were unbelievable. He said, they are not unbelievable. They should be just taking teams out like Tottenham and not worrying about it, especially when they're 6 players down.
True.
He goes, I'm starting to wonder what match I'm watching because I'm not watching the same match as you. And, you know, when you look at it, you know, you got Keane and Neville standing there saying something is really not right. He said, we don't know what it is, but there's something not right because they're not a team. And Keane came out with something really interesting. He said, in his days, they had plan A, plan B, plan C. He said, and you had probably 7 world-class players in that United team who would literally go, we need to shake this up and change it. This ain't working.
Yes.
He said, when you watch United now, he said it's as though they get the ball and they pass it to someone, and the someone with the ball now goes, well, what do you want me to do with it? And passes it back to the player again, or it goes back to the goalkeeper.
That's really true. I've seen an awful lot of that.
And he said it's like as if they don't actually know what they're supposed to do.
But I mean, the manager, the book stops with the manager. He's getting millions and millions of pounds every year to manage the team. Now, obviously, the manager would have a coach and a trainer. But collectively, you would think, Joe, that they go out in the field with a plan.
Well, every team, I don't care where you are or where you're playing. Everybody has a plan, right? Now, that plan can go out the window as soon as the ball is put into play, because a plan only lasts for as long as its first interaction with the opposition or the enemy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust, and that's why Roy Keane is talking about you have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, and you go and you'd use all. Sometimes you probably use all of them in bits of all of them at different times in a game. That you play what the game gives you, right? But the thing that Pat, you're right. The book starts and stops with the manager, and whoever. I mean, he could have a great assistant manager and a great coach, great coaching staff, but the whole plan comes from the manager. It's what he wants because it's his neck on the line at the end of the day. What I cannot understand, and Derwynne, you in your sport know this better than anybody, right? It's practice, 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 right? If you're not hitting the ball the way that you want to hit it, if you got a slice or a hook, or your putting is off, you're on the tee, you're on the green, you're out there and you're practicing, you're getting it right, you're working and getting it right. Manchester United, I've watched them now and I've made excuses for them. Don't get me wrong here. I've tried to make excuses for them, but at some point, you have to turn around and say, there's something not right here. And when you keep giving up goals from corner kicks and set plays, that is just a discipline. And that is a training ground issue. You get out and you work on that and you give people designated roles, however you want to do it. If you want to go man for man with everybody, if you want to go zonal with everybody, or if you want to go half and half with zonal and man marking, then that's what you delegate your players to do. And there's somebody around there that has to organize it.
Yeah.
If that person is not organizing it, and if other players are not taking it on themselves to organize it, then they're not doing their jobs. Then the second goal, again, I cannot understand how many times teams break down the middle of Manchester United and score from the center of the top of the 18-yard box.
Yeah,
which is criminal, really.
That is the one area that you're taught from being a kid. When you're in the middle of the 18-yard box at the top of the D area, you were able to control all that area around you.
Yeah.
They didn't have anybody in that position to do anything from there.
Yeah.
It is wide open, and I cannot count how many goals they've given up from that particular position. So again, that is down to the training ground. I mean, I was at Grimsby Town. We're in the 4th division. We play our first game of the season. We give up 2 goals from set plays. We have a meeting on Monday morning. All is woe is us, woe is this. And I'm going, hang on a second, guys. I said, we played well on Saturday. It's not like we were played off the park. We gave up 2 goals and they were from set plays. We haven't hardly worked on set plays at all in pre-season. We were working on other stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And, we've waited till something went wrong. So now we got to get out in the training ground and do it. And the manager says, yeah, let's get out there and do it and fix this thing. First game for a 4th division club.
Keane said something really interesting yesterday, and Schmeichel said it totally separately on a radio show, which I just happened to get the back end of this morning, right? So Schmeichel said virtually the same thing as Keane. Keane's point was that when United let a goal in, he said, in my day, when I was the captain, before that ball's kicked off, as in the restart, he said, I've either laid into someone verbally about them not doing their job. And Neville turned around and said, the back 4 would have like a autopsy over what happened. He said, not only that, we had a goalkeeper standing behind us who basically just screamed and yelled all game. He said, when you watch United concede a goal,
Johnny Evans was afraid to tackle your man that scored the goal.
But he was saying that there's no inquest after the goal. He said, watch them. There's a goal scored. The team run off to celebrate. The Man United teams just get back in position, and no one is talking to each other. They've got their heads down, and they just get back to where they're supposed to be for kickoff.
I mean, surely a manager builds up a collegiality within the team, that there would be a togetherness within the team. They struck me from day one, and I'm not saying this in hindsight. They struck me as on day one in this season as a team of overpaid individuals with their own egos to keep intact.
Well, I mean, they look like that now because they don't look like a team. I watched again yesterday, and I look at teams and I look at the balance of a team. How are you set up to play this game, right? You have United with their 3 forward players. You've got
Garnacho, Rashford,
right? You have
Hoyland.
What's his name on the left?
Got Rashford, Garnacho.
Those 2 do not want to track back.
No.
They do not track back, and they do not. And Rashford will watch what's going on. He'll watch the fullback get the other side of him, and then he'll react when it's too late. Garnacho's a little bit the same on the other side. I watched again yesterday, and you guys have heard me talk about this before. Bruno Fernandes and Rashford go the wrong side of the player to win the ball every single time. And they're making the effort, but they know full well that they're the wrong side of it. And they make that effort. Dave Sexton used to have a saying for players like that. He called them the nearly men. And they were all the guys that just got there as the ball was played away.
Yeah.
And they sliding in.
But in defense of Fernandes, and I've been a huge critic of his, Bruno Fernandes seemed to be a totally different player when he's playing with Portugal. But I think that's down to the fact that he trusts the manager and he trusts the system in Portugal because he is a very effective international player.
He's probably got better players around him.
Huh?
And that's the thing with it. But the point I was going to make there, and the point is about the balance in the team, right? You look at United's midfield yesterday, right? they have Ericsson, they have Fernandez, and they have the young kid playing in the centre. Manu, right? Now, he's a nice player. He's going to be a good player. But is there one of those three players that's a defensive player?
No.
No. There's no defenders in the middle of the park. So you're abdicating the whole middle of the field for practically the whole game. The only time they did anything was when McTominay came on. And he ends up nearly scoring the winner with the last header of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
But you cannot. Christian Eriksen cannot do as good a player as he was. He has now gone past his sell-by date.
Yeah, and
he took a free kick. He took a free kick. Was it he took the free kick at the end of the game and didn't even get it past the first defender? When the game is on the 2-2, and you have a free kick from the left-hand side, and you don't get it past the first defender, that is criminal.
That's shocking. That's shocking.
It's like the call that Fernandez takes the corners. Tell me this. Why is it when United have a corner, Bruno Fernandes takes the corner and Rashford goes out as if there's going to be a short corner? And there's never is. It always gets pumped into the box.
No, Rashford is going over. Rashford is going over to the sideline to check his hair in the mirror.
What's that about?
Yeah, Rashford goes over to the sideline to check his hair in the mirror.
The logic behind it is that you're going to bring somebody out with him, but it
create space.
We'll cop onto that.
I don't know, I've frozen out, have I?
Yeah, you're okay. No, we can still hear you, Derwynne. It's fine. Sports use the program on theirmedia.tv. Tell all your friends about us and press the red button on the right-hand side to subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it. And thanks for the comments. And anyway, we were talking about the championship earlier on. So the situation in championship, all the teams have played 27 games in the championship. And the position now, as we're looking at it, is Leicester City are on top with 65 points. Ipswich Town are in second place with 58. Southampton is in third with 55. And Southampton in third with 55. Leeds United are in fourth place with 51. West Brom are next on 45. Coventry are on 40. And Sunderland are on 40. That's the top seven in the championship. So there's a lot of what we call traditional teams up there now, and that there's Leicester, Ipswich, and Leeds. I'd like to say Sunderland, could make a move to come back up to the Premiership. But anyway, that's the championship, how it's going. We'll just move quickly along to golf. The Dubai Desert Classic was on over the weekend. The Dubai Desert Classic got a lot more coverage than the Sunny Open, and the Sunny Open had 4 times as much money to be won than in the Dubai Desert Classic.
Yesterday was that.
Yeah, and of course the choker from Northern Ireland found water again, where he couldn't win again. Tommy Fleetwood won the thing at 19 under, 66, 69, 63, and a 67. McIlroy was runners up at minus 18. He had a 62. Then the next day he had a 70 and 2 67s. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Tommy Fleetwood, doesn't he live in Dubai, Derwynne? Tommy Fleetwood, I think.
Lives in Dubai now. Yeah, he moved to Dubai.
Yeah, he won $387,000. Yeah, he won $387,000 for his 4 days. But did you see some of it? Did you see some of the golf?
I didn't see any golf this weekend.
I watched all of the back nine, really.
Yeah. I saw a nice bit of it at night, and it was nice. The course looked nice. There's no rough in the course, is there? I don't think. But anyway, Pelly stepped down as the chairman of the DP World Tour. Do you see that? He's resigned, and I think go out and come in again, Derwynne. There's no problem, and it might be more sharper then. But anyway, Pele resigned as the DP World Tour. I don't know what's going on there, but hopefully it'll be resolved. I don't know. Is he going somewhere else or not? I have no idea. But anyway, do you see any of the golf show over the weekend?
I did not. To be honest, there was some momentous stuff going on over here.
The playoffs.
We had the NFL playoffs, but during the week, after last week's loss, the Seattle Seahawks were eliminated from the playoffs, and a couple of days afterwards, Pete Carroll, who has been the coach for 14 years, they decided they were going to replace him. Well, in the meantime, Bill Belichick
that's right.
In Boston, he got replaced, and then Nick Saban, who was the coach of Alabama, who has won. Now, Bill Belichick has won. I think he's been to 9 Super Bowls. He's won
6.
He's won to them, right? Nick Saban has won 9 college national championships. Pete Carroll has won 1 NFL title. Was runner-up in the second one he was in, and has also won 3 or 4 college world championships as well.
Yes.
That those 3 coaches leaving would be the equivalent of Sir Alex Ferguson, Wenger, and whoever else you care to put up there as one of the top coaches.
Mourinho, Jose.
Yeah, all leaving at the same time. Absolutely unheard of, really. That's been happening, and then of course we had the playoffs, and we had the Detroit Lions playing their first home playoff game in Yonks forever, and they were playing the LA Rams. Now those 2 teams traded their quarterbacks 3 or 4 years ago, and both of them were first round quarterbacks, and the one that went from the Lions to the Rams won the Super Bowl, and the guy that had lost the Super Bowl for the Rams the year before went to the Detroit Lions, and they were playing against each other at the weekend, and Detroit won their first home playoff game for the longest time. So
that's right. That was a very good story. I heard an interview about Belichick. Is it what's his name?
Yeah, Bill Belichick. Yeah,
Belichick, and they were talking about his relationship with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And the question they were asking was, did Tom Brady make Belichick, or did Belichick make Tom Brady?
Well, people can put that out there as much as they like, but you have to remember, Tom Brady was a 5th round draft choice.
He was.
He was not a first rounder. He was a 5th rounder. And what Bill Belichick did there, and his coaching staff did there, was, and Tom Brady was a great player. Don't get that wrong from my standpoint.
He developed into a fabulous player.
He developed into a great player, but he developed under Belichick's system.
Yes.
And Belichick always found players to complement Tom Brady.
Yes. I see.
And that was the whole thing. And again, Belichick creates the atmosphere. Now, Belichick is not a player's coach. He is not. Pete Carroll is a player's coach. Pete Carroll is always messing around with the guy's arms around him, this, that, loosey-goosey in practice. But when you come to do the job, then we're all serious. But there's music blaring in the background the whole time. Bill Belichick wouldn't let a radio anywhere near the dressing room. He'd throw it out the window. He's a bit like Ferguson from that standpoint.
Yeah.
My job is not to have relationships with players. My job is to get players to play for the club and to win us things. And that was Belichick's. He's been absolutely outstanding. So it's been, and then of course when Saban lost when Saban resigned from Alabama, it affected us here in the Seattle area because the University of Washington had just finished second in the national championship. They got beat in the final last Monday night, a week ago tonight. They got beat. The coach of the Huskies was picked up by Alabama the minute Nick Saban resigned.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
All change in American football. We're in the era of the playoffs now, and we'll see how that develops. We might do a more comprehensive roundup next Monday. And I was really up in it, but there was so much material I didn't get a chance to condense it down, because there was so much going on. But as I said, there's our sports program here, main sports program on the radio, is on News Talk. It's called Off the Ball, OTB, and there's a wonderful discussion from last Friday night on it. You'll probably pick it up online about Belichick and his coaching methods and all. I stopped the car to listen to it because it was only 20 minutes, but I didn't have a load of information on him. But we'll do a bit of roundup on American football next Monday night. Just moving on quickly to snooker, and he's done it again. He's won his 8th Masters title. That is, who else? You could guess it is Ronnie O'Sullivan. That's the second win of the Triple Crown. That's the UK, the Masters, and the World Championship. He's done two. He never did a Triple Crown in the 1 year, Hendry and Williams and Davis did it, but he didn't do it yet. That's the one thing he didn't do. It was lovely to see him at the end of the tournament with his son and daughter. It just goes to show, that it's not all thing. There's a family there as well, But he was 6-3 behind. I was watching most of it. He was 6-3 behind, and he wound up winning the tournament 10-7. He won 7 out of the last 10 frames. It's just astonishing at the age of 48. Good old Ronnie. There's a cartoon of Ronnie O'Sullivan at 85 years of age, still competing. They superimposed his age on it. And they were saying, is there anybody left around to play me anymore, He was standing in the crucible at 85 years of age, all by himself.
Do you know what, Pat, the interview afterwards yesterday, I thought he let himself down.
He always does an interview. No, I didn't know.
Right, the interview straight after the game, I thought he really let himself down because he talked about how bad Ali Carter had been playing. With Ali Carter sat there, they hadn't even done the presentation at that stage, and I don't think you need to do that. The guy's just lost. You don't need to rub salt in it.
There's not good blood between the two of them. Do you remember the bumping incident in 2012 when they shouldered each other?
All he had to do was just say how well he'd played. But, again, he kind of turned around and said how bad he was playing. Yeah, he was still good enough to beat. You're like, you don't have to say things like that. You've just won. We all know how good you are. You don't need to. You don't need to do that.
In fairness to O'Sullivan, I don't think he's one of those guys who's, what's the word I'm looking for, who'd be self-deprecating anyway. And he's not a bombast character. He just
He's not Sean Murphy, is he, to media? I mean, Sean Murphy, to me, is Mr. Squeaky media, savvy, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Ronnie,
there's too many of those people in sport.
Yeah, but I just don't think you need to say bad things about the guy who's just lost.
Well, I can't stand the BBC coverage of snooker, so I went to be over to the other crowd. But because really, it's boring in a state. Because one of the most boring commentators in snooker, he never has anything to say, is Steve Davis. He'll say nothing controversial. He'll say nothing that's challenging. He's just like a machine sitting there behind the microphone. That's the impression I get with him.
I don't know if anybody knows, but has John Virgo got like Parkinson's or something?
I don't. Yeah, there's a rumor going on. Yeah,
he was shaking like he's doing all this when they had the camera on him and Steve Davis last night, talking about Ronnie O'Sullivan, and you're like, he looks really old and didn't look well, if that makes sense.
Well, it did.
But I don't know if that's just because you remember him as one thing, but yeah, I guess he is quite old now, isn't he?
Oh Jesus, Sir John Virgo. I don't know. Would he be in his late 70s?
I would have thought he's got to be mid-70s at least, isn't he?
Oh Jesus, John Virgo is what? He must be. He must be, sure. He was around in 85 when your man from Northern Ireland won the World Championship.
Taylor,
yeah. And that's 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He played with Higgins, didn't he, all the time?
Did He did. He did have
I guess he's older. I lost complete contact there when we were talking about golf in Dubai. So
yeah, we were saying that
event was called the Dubai Invitation. So the Desert Classics this week.
Yeah. Well, I mixed it up. That's just in my head because they were talking about
Desert Classics this week. But again, it was nice to see Rory out there collecting some Saudi money, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, he got $250,000 or something. No, he got, but sure, it's loose change to Rory at this stage, but it isn't the money anymore. But I think Shane Lowry is playing in the Desert Classic. That's his first tournament of the year next week. He always does well there, Lowry. But anyway, what was I going to say? Pele is gone from the DP World Tour.
Yeah,
he's resigned. He's stepped down.
Guy Kinnins is taking over. Guy Kinnins.
Who?
So Guy Kinnins is taking over. He used to be with IMG. He ran IMG for forever. So he's kind of the poacher turned gamekeeper now.
The Mark McCormack outfit. God,
yeah.
The Mark McCormack outfit, yeah. Anyway, so that's our Ronnie. In the European Cup, Europe, Munster played over. They played Toulon over in Toulon in France. A must-win game for Munster, and I must say some of their well-known names stepped up to the plate and had a bonus point win over Toulon in an absolute cracking game, 29-18 in the European Cup. Connacht lost out to Lyon, 34-20, and Leinster destroyed Stade Francais 43-7. It was 43-0 for a long time, but 43-7. And Ulster were beaten by Toulouse 48-24. And my old team, Ronan O'Gara's team, La Rochelle. Oh my God. Did you see the rugby over the weekend?
No, I missed the rugby.
You should go back on YouTube tonight, Joe, for a few minutes and put in La Rochelle versus Leinster. To see the side of the La Rochelle team is a joy to behold. They just steamrolled. It's like a Jonah Lomu team walking through the other team. Do you remember that? Just
yeah.
They won 45-12, and I must say, in all fairness, I don't know how Leicester got 12 points, because La Rochelle was so dominant. Just really. Anyway, it's hotting up well now. That's the European Cup in rugby, so it's good. The Six Nations is the next trip for the national teams here, and in Ireland, they're all free to air this year because of both Virgin Media and RT. For people who are looking at this, they've all the free to air games. It's free to air. That's the Six Nations beginning, and of course, your man, what's his name? Farrell has been appointed Lions coach.
Yeah,
I don't know, Derwynne. What is the point of the Lions tour this year down to Australia, who are in utter disarray as a team? What's the point of it? Money?
No, I don't think it is. I think the Lions is a great thing, isn't it?
But they're going down to Australia, who were in rag order. They're in rag order.
I don't think you can ever count Australia out, whether it's cricket, rugby, or.
I know that, but they looked very, very poor in the World Cup.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that, it's the Lions are a tradition, right? I mean, and they're always, and you can't pick when you decide to go to, whether you're going to New Zealand, South Africa, or Australia. It just comes up on the rotation, and whether they're having a bad time or not. But again, I I agree. You know, you can never write the Australians off because now they're preparing for the next World Cup at their own place.
They are.
So it's going to be, you know, there's still going to be a lot going on there, and you know, let's be very honest, the Australians do not have a great love of the British Isles.
Oh God, no.
I was down in Mexico a few years ago, and we were talking. I'd met these people from Australia that were staying in the same hotel as us, and we were talking about the Lions and what have you. And you know, I don't know why it didn't come to me at the time, but I'm saying, yeah, well, look at the size of Australia compared to the size of British Isles, and the Lions do really well again. And the guy comes back and he says, Joe, he said, there's more people in London than there are in Australia. Right. Oh, fair enough then.
That's like it's that old it's that old joke, isn't it? When you get to passport control in Australia and they ask you if you've got a criminal record. And you turn around and why is it still compulsory?
Yeah, it is. It's a country of convicts, but seasoned convicts. But yeah, I hope it will be a good thing. Now, as we're mentioning rugby, this man passed away, and we didn't get to him last week. JPR Williams. That I picked out that picture because that epitomized the spirit of the man that was JPR Williams. Some of you watching this now will have to look up who he is, but we all remember him. And that's nothing to do with our age. We'll always remember a good player. But JPR Williams from Bridgend. Where is Bridgend in Wales, Derwynne, if I was trying to drive to it? I didn't even look it up.
So if you were to ask Mary, one of our cousins, she gave birth to a son, and the person who actually was there to carry out the birth was JPR Williams.
Go away.
It's like there's like a club in South Wales that if you were born and JPR was the doctor at the time, there's like a little society of people who were born by JPR.
That's fantastic. It's lovely. And he died.
On BBC at the moment, there's on iPlayer, there's a program called Grand Slam, and it shows it's all about Welsh rugby, but it shows the 70s team, and there's a whole hour and a bit on it about the 70s and how they became the best, on the planet as such. But when you watch the clips of all the tries and different things like that, jeepers creepers, how some of them have still got heads left on their necks is beyond me.
Oh, it's absolutely astonishing.
They were like straight arm tackles and round the neck.
Yeah.
And there's that match, one of the British Lions tours where it was literally like the Welsh team went. I think it was something silly, like 11 out of the 15 that went 71, I think it was.
Well, 71 and 74, JPR was on those two Lions tours.
I think it was 71.
8 times. 71 and 74. 8 times for the Lions. I have it written down here. That's why I know that. But
when you JPR. Watch the tackles, they wouldn't be on the pitch now.
No. Oh, they wouldn't know. There'd be a red card straight away,
Yeah.
There was a good quote from JPR. He said, on Saturdays I tried to break legs, and during the week I put them back together again.
He played from 1969 to 81. He won 55 caps with Wales, and believe me, they were well earned, every one of those caps at that era in rugby, But he was such a fantastic player, and I know when people pass on, you say that about him, but deservedly so. JPR Williams was such a fantastic player, and he made 8 appearances for the Lions, and he also won 3 Grand Slams during his time with Wales. But I mean, you're talking about Barry, John, JPR Williams, and the loads of Williams, and Barry John. What's his name? What's the other number 10?
Phil Bennett.
Yeah, Phil Bennett. But
Gareth
before
Edwards.
him, Gareth Edwards. Yeah.
Gareth Edwards,
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, these were just. They get into any rugby team in any era, you know. Was it Clive Rowlands? Was Clive Rowlands the person who
Yeah.
who
Rollers from London.
brought in proper training and fitness for rugby players? Because at that stage, you weren't allowed to train during the week because it was an amateur sport. So the lads were telling, I was reading this, they'd meet on a Thursday, they'd have a few pints and a few fags, they'd meet on a Thursday and work out a few tactics for Saturday's match. That was amateur rugby.
Well, there's a great clip on that program if you watch it on iPlayer. Great clip where they are at Twickenham, and it's a 3:00 kickoff, but they've come straight from the hotel in Twickenham, and they're in the actual car park at Twickenham doing press ups and passing a ball around amongst the cars in the car park.
Yes.
And it was, I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, Gareth Edwards does quite a lot of talking in that program.
Yeah.
And he says that, you know, they just weren't allowed to practice. They weren't allowed to get together. He said you'd have maybe a couple of the players. He said like the London Welsh guys were slightly better off. So you had John Taylor, Mervyn Davis.
Yes.
Quite a lot. There was about half a dozen from London Welsh. And they used to practice because they were like in England.
Yes.
So they were a little bit less being seen, shall we say. So they would train during the week after work with London Welsh. He said, but they'd come down for these little team get-togethers, which they used to have on the beach near Port Talbot.
All right.
And he said they would stand there and they would start doing all these kind of warm-up things. He said the rest of us were looking at them like, what are they doing? What's that all about? He said bit by bit, we all got into the habit of, well, if they're doing it, we better do it. And he said it was fascinating to watch it.
I must get to see that now on the iPlayer, BBC iPlayer. That's JPR Williams, who was 75.
It's really good.
Yeah. He died from bacterial meningitis. You know, it's terrible.
Passing away. We had a real tragedy in Grimsby last week. A young lad that was part of the Grimsby Town Academy, 16-year-old boy. He and his father were in a one-car accident and went off the road into the river, and both of them unfortunately didn't make it. So
that's terrible.
Brings it back home to you what is really important in life. And I'm very familiar with the area because I lived in a little village outside Grimsby called Tetney, and the accident happened on the road from Tetney to Tetney Lock, which is about 2 miles away from us. And it just tragic. The father and son perished in the accident.
Well, indeed, commiserations to the lads, and it's a loss for anything. And SportsView is the program on learnmedia.tv. Tell all your friends about us. We're here every Monday night. Press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel. We'd very much appreciate it. The Australian Open, the first Grand Slam in the tennis calendar, is on as we speak, has begun yesterday. Although with Australia, with the tennis, I'm always confused with the days and times. You know, I'm always a half a day ahead or a half a day behind. But that's just me, probably myself, really. You know. But Andy Murray was really, I think Andy's going to retire because he was really wiped off the court, and that's no shame to Andy Murray. He's 36, nearly 37 years of age, so he's beaten in straight sets in the first round, and I don't think by his body language and by his demeanour afterwards, I don't think we'll see him again. I think he will retire all right now, but I suppose Andy Murray has been the most prominent British male tennis player since Tisdale.
Fred Perry.
Yeah,
Fred Perry, I meant. Sorry,
Perry.
Yeah. I was thinking Bob Chisnell, the high hurler.
He's had Andy Murray's had a great career, really. I mean, so and in an era when so many great players are around as well.
I mean, Joe, when you think of it, he was playing tennis with Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic playing.
Yes.
And to win any big tournament when those three are playing is a testament to the genius of the man that was Murray. That's Andy Murray. We're not saying he's retired, but he's not far off it. And to win a couple of Grand Slams, even with those three playing, it's just sensational to think about it in any sport.
You were talking a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about Djokovic and how well he's done, and all those guys. Can you remember Rod Laver?
Yeah,
back in the day,
the black and white TV. I remember it. Ken Rosewall.
Rod Laver apparently, and you can check this up. If all his tournaments were added together, because they didn't have Grand Slams, I don't think back then, and what have you, but they had, and because he was a professional, he was banned from playing in a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
And he would have won more than anybody else.
Yes.
World, but the professional ones didn't count for him.
It is, and it was great to see Djokovic opening the tournament in Australia, where he was deported from. When you think about the carry on that time, I mean, just codology, but in the Rod Laver arena, and he only dropped one set and he won three out of the 4 sets. But I think he's odds-on favourite to win the tournament. And also, there was a few women in the women's side of it. The draw came back. Osaka came back after having a baby, but she was beaten by a very good French player in the first round. But it's on, as we know, if you want to catch up, it's on the tennis channel if you have it, or it's on in Eurosport as well. They carry it. Eurosport in the first week of the Australian Open. If you're not from Britain or you're not supporting the British players, don't bother watching, because that's all you'll see the first week on Eurosport, And I mean, it's an English channel, so they're going to be showing the English players, And anyway, that's the Australian Open. Djokovic again, a bit like Ronnie O'Sullivan in snooker. He's the complete dominant figure. He's going for his 23rd, 24th Grand Slam, which is astonishing. The person that he met in the first round, he was 18 years older than him. He was half his age, What do you think about
it? He was like the junior French Open winner, wasn't he? The kid.
Yeah. He was from Croatia. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his first big event, though, wasn't it? It's first one, big, Grand Slam event.
Yes, it is. He played
senior.
Yeah, he's 18. He played very well. He took a set off him, but really, I think he ran the equivalent of 6 miles during the match against Djokovic. 6 miles of running. When you just think about it, just the equivalent in the 4 hours. So you can see the fitness level of these guys, And of course, it's astonishing when you break it down, I couldn't believe it.
And the kind of running that they do in a sport like, I mean, this is not going for a jog for 6 miles. This is you're shifting about, you're changing direction, you're getting to the ball as quickly as possible, you're bending, you're stretching. I mean, it really is amazing that what some of these athletes are able to do.
At that level, it's astonishing when I see it. It is astonishing. I can't understand. I mean, the attrition on the legs, on your ankles, and on your wrists, everywhere. It's not as strenuous as golf now, Derwynne, with all due respect to golfers, But I mean, there's wear and tear on golf as well. But what did you think of
when you stand? I've been lucky enough to go to Wimbledon a few times, and have a really good view of it.
Yeah.
What you don't appreciate on the TV compared to real life is how hard they hit that ball and how fast that ball is traveling.
Yeah.
I mean, I
can
know
you?
you see the serves at 130 miles an hour and stuff, but when you actually see it live, you kind of go, their reactions must be they must be like fighter pilot reactions.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to be a ball coming at you at 100 miles an hour. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a millisecond, like.
yeah. I mean,
To,
it's at you before you know it's at you, and when you watch it live, what you don't start to see, and I don't know whether it's because you play sport or you watch it in a different way to, I think, someone who's not a sports person. So, I was watching them returning serve, and as the guy's hitting it, they're already pulling the racket back and anticipating where it's going to be. And they're hitting it as hard back and getting it over a net. And the accuracy of it, I just found that mind-bending.
Yeah, it's astonishing altogether. Joe, who's the favourite? Just before we finish up, who's the favourite to win the
Football.
The football? Yeah.
I think Kansas City would have to be up there. But they were in the wild card game yesterday.
Yeah, they won that.
Yeah, they won that. Trying to think who else had a Green Bay won the wild card game yesterday. They hammered Dallas in.
They did, yeah. They were looking good. I saw a bit of that match. The Green Bay Packers. I think they might have a good twist off it.
Yeah, they would. I would have thought. Oh, the other one is going to be San Francisco. San Francisco is very good.
Remember, was it Dan Marino?
Joe Montana was.
Joe Montana with the 49ers.
Yeah, and Dan Marino was with
Miami Dolphins, wasn't he?
Miami, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Dan Marino and those. Oh, Jesus!
Miami lost yesterday to Kansas City in the wild card game. So it's going to be interesting to play it out and to see where it all goes from here. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, guys. Anybody watching this?
The Baltimore Ravens have a very good team. They have a terrific quarterback.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baltimore are tipped by the fella in BBC to be there or thereabouts, the commentator. But there we are.
They've got a real good chance.
So now, lads, you can put your 50p on Baltimore, Kansas City, and Green Bay Packers. That's us, and don't be crying to us over the 50p.
To tell you the truth, though, I wouldn't rule out San Francisco. They are very good. They are very good.
We'll do a bit of a roundup next Monday night on the football, since it's coming to the end of the season.
Yeah.
So we've come to the end of this show, lads. If you want to catch up with this show, anyone viewing it, you can catch up on our YouTube channel, airmedia.tv, and thank you for all the views. There's quite a few watching the show, and you can say whatever you like about the show. We don't mind. You can pick on any one of us here any night and say whatever you like. We'll read out the comments. We don't mind one bit, Once you comment, that's the main thing. So from Joe Walker.
Even if it's bad, at least you're talking about it.
I was just going to say, hang on a minute, Pat.
Yeah.
I think me and Joe might have something to say about
that. Well, I know what to think of me already, so they can't see anymore.
But I feel exactly the same way. When you played the game for as long as I have, you got to have thick skin.
Someone asked me, we were interviewed on a local radio here about a thing we had over the last week, the Friday mental health conference last Friday. Myself and Mary ran one in Shannon, and went off very well. But I was being interviewed on the radio, and after the interview, you had to pick out a piece of music for them to play. And I'm into Dixieland and jazz, so I said, please don't talk about me when I'm gone. It's a Dixieland number. So I said, well, why did you pick out that? Well, that's the piece of music that'll be at my funeral, Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. You can look it up. That's all about nothing anyway, lads. So from Derwynne Honan, from Joe Waters, and myself, till we meet again next Monday, lads, take care, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care, lads.
See you.